utilized every day.
Housing officials are just over a week into their downtown push to connect homeless residents to shelters and housing. The operation, involving a number of nonprofit partners, the city and county, is being coordinated by the San Diego Housing Commission.
Basically get anybody off the street into housing, whichever way that makes the most sense to do that.
Brian Gruters with PATH says efforts are being focused on 3 areas: the City Center, East Village, and the Gaslamp District. This mobile command center has staff connecting people to resources like Medicaid or food stamps. And with shelters expanding operations now that coronavirus restrictions are being relaxed, those who want shelter can get it right here.
If it's a quick fix, like someone wants to go to shelter, they can do that today. It's pretty simple to do that. But a lot of people don't want that for a lot of different reasons. And so we want to follow up with those folks.
Despite the big push, encampment cleanups are still happening. This morning along National Avenue, police and crews were clearing sidewalks.
They give us 3 hours to pull all our stuff and move it somewhere else.
Freddie Dangerfield says he's been homeless for the last 3 years, and days like this are especially tough.
You're trying to figure out what can you look at, they're posting around the corner. If they're coming after that, then you can move yourself there. And just when you get there, you kind of move yourself back.
He thinks that shelters are too restrictive, and while we were talking, the reality of having to get his stuff and go set in.
Is that good to go? Can my cleanup crew take that?
Montel Blake, who says he's been homeless for the last 8 years or so, was also moving off the sidewalk this morning.
I don't have no complaints. I have no complaints because I chose to be homeless, and even though it's hard to get up out of that whole situation, it's nobody's responsibility but mine.
He says he's been offered shelter, but at least right now doesn't want to take it.
I got a couple of issues about being around groups, about being around being too close to people. Not that I don't want to accept help, is that why get in the way when somebody can use it better than me?
Lisa Jones with the Housing Commission says during the first week of expanded outreach, just under 140 people were admitted to shelters, with the majority coming from this downtown push.
We want to see shelter placements. We want to see exits to housing. We want to see exits to other longer term care. Maybe someone needs adult independent living care or a nursing home style of care. We want to connect people to the right resources that are out there.
During this month-long outreach, city officials are also trying to identify space for a shelter that can take in those with severe substance abuse disorders. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
I dreamed I saw Love Hill last night, alive as you and me.
At South Shores Park in Mission Bay, a memorial service was held for Michael Bloom, a native San Diegan who took the city head-on in a legal fight to change overnight parking and habitation laws. He had been living out of an old camper for more than a decade.
He was always in pain. He was, wasn't any time that he wasn't in pain.
His brother Bill says Michael was found dead in early June. Bloom was the lead plaintiff in a lawsuit against the city, arguing disabled homeless in RVs are unfairly targeted for tickets. We first met Michael in 2017, who said paying more than $100 fines made it nearly impossible to live on his small disability checks.
Not being able to eat or, like buy gas is just, they don't realize how big a cut that is on anything that you want to do. Disposable income is just a big joke to when you're homeless. And I don't have any place to go to, anymore, so I love San Diego, but I almost feel like I wouldn't want to be alive if I didn't have a camper.
Michael's brother says Bloom recently suffered a heart attack, but even though he was disabled and in pain, always managed to have a smile on his face.
I helped him. I promised Mom that I'd always take care of Mike and always do the best I can, and I kept that promise. And I gave him water, food, and any way I could help him, but he was very proud. He didn't want to accept help for some reason. He just wanted to live life on his terms. I don't know. He didn't think a lot about money. For some reason.
Michael said he was constantly in fear of getting ticketed, so much so that it was hard for him to sleep at night. When we caught up with him in 2019, community organizer Martha Sullivan had given him a place to park his camper, which helped him avoid fines.
As long as things are working the way they are, I'm happy. I love being able to be where I want to be at.
Sullivan later got Michael a more functional camper and says they became friends through the push to change parking and habitation laws.
He was a huge teacher of understanding because despite all the adversity that he faced and all the harm that was done to him, he was a very compassionate and kind person who wanted that for everyone. He wanted it for everyone.
If Michael were here today, he would want us to raise our voices and continue the struggle. And that's what we're going to do.
Disability Rights California attorney Ann Menashe says there was a slight pause in ticketing during the pandemic, but that's over and fines plus impoundments are happening again. She says Bloom's name will live on through the lawsuit.
Well, it's incredibly sad. It's really, it's really, really tragic. And it shows that, people in this situation who are treated like this have shortened lives.
I never died, said he.
Michael Bloom was 72 years old. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
That story resonated with our audience on kpbs.org. In addition to that look back at Michael Bloom's life, you can learn more about our local RV parking laws. Also, a contract struggle for doctors in North County, why they're criticizing changes at Palomar Health and putting the California back in UC. A new push to increase in-state enrollment is one of our most viewed stories this week. That's all on kpbs.org. We also have plenty of COVID-19 resources and coverage online. In City Heights, there's another step in our reopening where one of many local libraries resumed in-person service. Alexandra Rangel was there for the first day back.
14 San Diego library branches reopened for in-person services Tuesday, adding to the 12 that had already opened back in October with COVID restrictions. Misty Jones, the director for public libraries in the county, says capacity limits are still in place.
So we're at 50% capacity, and there's no masks required as long as you're vaccinated. But for safety reasons, anybody who's not vaccinated, we're still asking to wear a mask.
She says some of the reopening delays had to do with employee shortages.
A lot of it had to do with just kind of the state and county guidelines, the safety guidelines, and limited capacities. We also had a lot of staff that left during the pandemic, so we have to do a lot of hiring to get back open.
Yuen Tran, the branch manager at the City Heights Library, says she can't wait to start seeing familiar faces again.
So obviously we miss them because they are very essential to our services, but we're very excited. We have our summer reading program. We're hoping that now we're back in person, we can connect with more youth.
The College Rolando branch is one of the libraries that has been open. But Tuesday, they reached a new milestone toward normalcy. The branch hosted its first in-person story time, featuring a Pride theme to celebrate San Diego's Pride Month. Libraries across the county will be hosting similar Pride events throughout the month. Jones says they're working to have all 36 library branches opened and fully operating by September.
Especially with computer use and the digital divide, is a lot of people didn't have access anymore, and we really we're so thankful that we're able to reopen and give that service back to the public.
Alexandra Rangel, KPBS News.
In Escondido, breast cancer survivors are doing their part to help make others going through that same journey feel whole again. I recently met this group of tight-knit women who are lightening the pain associated with mastectomy, one loving stitch at a time.
It's like riding a bicycle, you don't forget.
In her little cottage at Redwood Terrace Retirement Home, Pat Anderson's creativity hasn't slowed down over the years. After a long career as a textile designer, she still enjoys making yarn by hand on her homemade spinning wheel.
And everything you wear starts with this process.
Her work, both old and new, is strewn on her couch. Her friend Pat Moeller is here.
This is the very first thing I ever made. Did you see this hat, Pat? No.
And admires her creations from the 70s.
How neat.
The two Pats call this tranquil home in Escondido the magic place, as it's become the setting of their new friendship, as well as a surprising grassroots movement called SBW.
And that stands for Sisterhood of the Boobless Wonders.
The Sisterhood of the Boobless Wonders are breast cancer survivors and part of a trio of knitters who have literally taken comfort into their own hands in the shape of hand-knitted bust forms, aptly called busters.
And here they are. They're nothing more than a specially designed accessory.
In the 6 years since Pat made the first prototype, the Busters Project has helped more than 1,200 women across the country who have undergone mastectomy surgery.
All women's clothing is designed to accommodate the bust contour. So if that is gone, your clothes don't fit right, and you end up feeling dumpy and unkempt.
Pat says most of all, it shows. And until now, the only official solutions offered to patients were surgical reconstruction or medical-grade silicone prosthetics, which can be heavy. Busters, on the other hand,
this weighs less than an ounce. They're soft, they're washable, they're natural and normal looking.
At first glance, busters may look simple.
These are tricky to make.
Pat says there is a very specific knitting technique that involves the direction and the grain of the yarn, and Pat has proudly patented the design.
We've got a contour here, but it has to be flat on the back.
What makes them even more unique, unlike prosthetics, is that they are customizable in size by simply adding or removing the filling.
Almost a full cup size larger or smaller.
Every last detail has been considered.
The light, bright, cheerful colors help women remember that they are breast cancer survivors, not victims.
Each pair takes about 8 hours to knit. It's a real labor of love.
What do you think of something like this?
Color-wise?
So Pat Moeller stepped in to help.
She happened to be in front of me in the buffet line, and I said, if you need any help knitting, I would be happy to.
And she's doing the biggest sizes, so you know she's a good knitter.
When fellow resident Bernice Dufour found a lump on her breast,
I didn't want any nonsense. I said, just lop it off.
Medicare covered the cost of the silicone prosthetic she holds in her hand, which usually costs more than $200 per breast.
I weighed it on my postal scale, it weighs 2 pounds, and it was hot in the summer, and it could even be cold in the winter. I don't think anybody would choose this.
Since she was introduced to busters, she says this breast sits in a box.
Now I have a much better choice, and I'm sticking with it.
A basket full of thank you notes with gratitude from recipients usually comes with donations
so nice.
that go toward sponsoring another woman's pair, from one survivor to another.
There's life after breast cancer.
As for Pat Anderson, in a career that dates back more than 50 years, she says Busters is her final project.
How many almost 89-year-old women can say that they're still doing something that makes a difference?
And much like the 60-40 acrylic nylon blend chosen for its strength and its softness, these survivors exude that same resilience, creating a product that is built to last down to the final thoughtful stitch.
And by the way, busters are free for any breast cancer survivor who would like a pair. If you want a pair of busters, you can email Pat directly at spinshuttlestudio@gmail.com. A local nonprofit has received a no-strings-attached donation from one of the richest people in the world. KPBS reporter Melissa May tells us about the group working to empower at-risk youth through the arts.
A student plays an original song in a recording studio at the David's Harp Foundation, an organization that's about more than just music.
What we offer is a safe space for young people to be able to come to learn something new, but also to meet somebody new.
Brandon Stepp is the founder and director of David's Harp, bringing at-risk youth together through the arts since 2007. He says it all started with a music studio he built in his father's garage in Southeast San Diego.
Eventually, I let young people come in and trade good grades for studio time in that space. And so what I got to see is that when young people came into that space, they were different.
That studio garage grew into a nonprofit organization that started bringing music into schools, teen shelters, and eventually to the juvenile justice system. The foundation is named after the biblical David and the harp he played to lift the torment of the king. Stepp says just like the king, many of the students are tormented with potential gang involvement, homelessness, and even substance abuse.
But when they came into that studio space and they interacted with music, it's like the torment would be gone.
That's Riley playing some beats for us. He doesn't want his full name used because he's still on probation. He was in juvenile detention when he connected with David's Harp.
When they came, it's like a little light always came with them, like straight up. It's good in there, like when they came and there was no arguments, no nothing. We just wanted to be here with the music and the good people.
Riley now works for the foundation and knows what it means to at-risk youth.
This is crucial. I mean, it helps kids out because it helps them get back on their feet, you know? It helps them, surrounded them by good people, good equipment. You can't go wrong, you know?
Kasimi Childress is a David's Harp success story. He says he came from a family plagued by drugs and grew up in a group home.
I definitely think I would have been a menace to my own society. I think I definitely would have been part of the problem, not part of the solution.
An advocate connected him to David's Harp because of his love for music. He now serves on the foundation's board.
Don't ever pay it back. Pay it forward. So just understanding the value of that is something that I took from this program.
Childress spent 3 years in the program. He's now graduating early from the University of Laverne with plans to become an attorney. But music will always be a part of his life.
Music is forever, will be my place of peace.
The program is about more than just peace. STEP says the students are also learning some important job skills.
We initially start with art. So we're teaching young people music production, videography. They're learning audio engineering. They're learning applied physics. They're learning about light and color and sound.
The group's work attracted the attention of billionaire philanthropist Mackenzie Scott. She gave David's Harp a donation of $1 million.
I have no clue how Mackenzie Scott found out about us, honestly. We are a small nonprofit here, but what I know is the community is very authentic and the word has spread kind of quickly nationally.
David's Harp is now in the Moniker Warehouse in downtown San Diego.
And it was the perfect space because here it is along the trolley tracks where young people can access it, and it's in a gang-neutral area, which all of those were essential.
STEP says the donation will help build creative centers in different parts of the county. He says the foundation wants to partner with more community members to foster more creative youth development opportunities. A long way from that studio in a San Diego garage.
Se va por la sombrita, que el sueño no me quita.
Melissa May, KPBS News.
Drought, climate change, and the risk of wildfires are all top of mind right now. That's part of the reason why San Diego County has a new Office of Environmental and Climate Justice. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson recently talked with Supervisor Nora Vargas, who is leading the effort.
Help me define environmental justice as you perceive it.
We're really proud of being a binational community, but if you think about the emissions from the long hours of folks waiting at the border, all of these issues are impacting a community that, because of their zip code, have been, greatly, I think, hurt by these policies that didn't really take them into consideration.
Why do you think the supervisors are ready to make this change?
I came here to do a job on behalf of the community, and that's what we're doing. And so this is a new board of supervisors. We have the will and to really make a difference, and we have a short amount of time to do it, and so we have no time to waste.
And that is just part of Eric Anderson's interview with Supervisor Vargas. You can stream more on the KPBS YouTube page along with all of our original stories. We also have our KPBS podcasts and full episodes of KPBS Evening Edition. There will be a lot of firsts at the Summer Olympics in Tokyo, even if you forget about the one-year delay in holding the event without any fans. Tanya Thorin tells us about the first USA skateboarding team and its ties to North County.
For the very first time, skateboarding will be a part of the Summer Games. Hayden Acasio, an avid skateboarder in Oceanside, is excited to see the sport hit the big leagues.
It's crazy. We've been wanting skateboard Olympics probably for since skateboarding's been a thing. So it's kind of insane for us to see it on the big screen, and everyone's going to be watching it. So it'll be sick.
Representing Team USA, 23 eager skateboarders ready to head to Tokyo to compete. 8 of them are from San Diego. The 3 competitors for the Women's Skateboard Park Division all have ties to North County. Liz Nguyen skates at Alex Road Skate Park in Oceanside and is excited to see some locals on the team.
I think that's awesome. Keeping it local is great, especially in North County. That's great. Yeah.
Brighton Zuner from Encinitas will turn 17 just in time to compete in the Olympics and is the youngest ever X Games competitor. Bryce Wetstein and Jordan Barrett also have North County ties and have become a household name in the skateboarding community.
I'm just excited to be watching Bryce on TV, seeing her at the Olympics.
Ocasio says North County skaters are excited to see some of their own make it to Tokyo.
Like, I got to meet them and stuff, and they're so sick and so nice, and I'm hyped that they're representing our state and our country.
Skateboarding competitions will make their debut on July 25th. Although the Tokyo Games are taking place this year, they will be referred to as the 2020 Olympics. The opening ceremony will be on July 23rd. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
Finally, we go from the Olympic Games to virtual gaming. A fully immersive virtual reality center now reopened in Mission Valley. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando checks out Sandbox VR.
Not all businesses love to hear their clients screaming.
So the screaming is basically our customers, enjoying themselves to their fullest.
Welcome to Sandbox VR.
So Sandbox is a fully immersive virtual reality experience. We offer 5 different experiences: Amber Sky, Deadwood, Cursor Davy Jones, Star Trek, and also our fight one, which is UFO.
Our group opted for Deadwood Mansion. We dubbed ourselves Team Romero and geared up to battle zombies with the help of Sandbox manager Jordan Ewing.
This is room 1. Each one of these rooms look exactly like this, maybe in somewhat of a different configuration. We do have the backpacks over here, and the backpacks is what powers the experiences. And then we have trackers. We have 4 trackers, 2 for your legs and 2 for your arms. And then we also have the haptic vest. The haptic vest is what's going to allow you to feel that in-game damage. So if your friend is shooting you, or if a villain is shooting you, or a zombie is hitting you and in your face, that's what you're going to feel. Go ahead and put on your Oculus and headphones, guys.
It was a VR game. It was a horror experience where we got to shoot zombies and rats, lots of rats. I screamed a lot. My throat even hurt. So I was the exterminator of the group because rats freaked me out and they were coming towards me and I was just like, no!
It's crazy how you actually get into the horror feel and you actually get freaked out about things that are coming at you.
Viviana Grandal is an experienced gamer, but usually plays at home on a computer with a keyboard and mouse.
This was my first fully immersive VR experience where I got to play with other players and see other players, and that part was so much better than just an alone experience with VR. Just being aware of your surroundings and your teammates and being able to heal each other, that was hilarious.
Yeah, we died a lot.
I'm dead!
But a touch on the shoulder can revive a player.
Touch your shoulder!
This was Gavin Bowles' first experience with virtual reality gaming.
It was intense. It was very immersive, very realistic, and made my heart pound.
The environment's so well done that you feel like you're in it.
Totally immersive, the sounds, the feel. You get equipped with a haptic responsive vest, so when something's touching you or attacking you, you're feeling it, so it is completely immersive.
It's cool because you get, a 360 view, so it's like you're really in that place.
Oh, zombies in the back, upstairs.
I like the fact that the zombies came out from different places. You have to be
up in the top! Oh, behind you!
On your feet the whole time, looking out.
From the sky!
All the entrances and the stairs.
Upstairs!
Stairs.
It's fun.
Behind you! Front door!
They give you guns, so you get to shoot at stuff.
Main entrance.
I had 2 handguns, and I figured I could have a little bit more blast radius if I had 2 hands to shoot with than just one.
It did start very slow, but once it gets going and they explain everything to you and you get everything all geared up, it's very fast paced.
It starts off a pretty manageable level, and it quickly picks up pace. You start getting more enemies, different mechanics, so you kind of have to figure out what's going on around you and be aware of everything around you. So it goes by pretty quickly, it escalates quickly.
I think my favorite part would probably be watching the video afterwards.
That video was so funny because you're equipped with all of your gear and you're seeing things, so you think you look pretty badass, and then you watch yourself and you're just kind of flailing around.
Jose Iturriaga, aka Bats, was the top scorer on the team.
Yes, I was pleasantly surprised about that because I did die a few times. But yeah, I guess that shotgun proved handy.
For KPBS News, this is Bub the Untouchable. Beth Accomando.
And once again, the KPBS YouTube page is where you can find much of our content, including that story. You can stream That story there and others, along with our KPBS podcast and full episodes of Evening Edition. And if you update your preferences, we will send alerts to your phone for special live coverage and breaking news as well. We hope that you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Thank you for joining us.